And good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Captain Lou Extravaganza Live here on the 12 Ounce Sports platform and networks. We are on Facebook Live. We are on Twitter. We are on Twitch. We are on our YouTube channel. And of course, we are live on Zingo TV channel 761. Glad you can be with us here on this Tuesday, October the 19th, 2021. We got a great show planned for you tonight. We're going to talk all four of the major sports, if you will: baseball, football, hockey, and pro basketball as well. Pro basketball starting out tonight. We're going to talk to Steve Finnemore coming up in about an hour from now, the top of the second hour. He's our basketball guru, basketball insider. And the NBA is coming up. A lot of storylines. Starting out with that, with Ben Simmons getting kicked out of practice. Is he going to play? Kyrie Irving not being able to play in New York, so he's not playing right now. Are the Bucks going to repeat? Who knows? There is a lot going on in the world of basketball. We're already starting, so it should be an interesting season. But Steve Finnemore is going to join us here in about an hour. I'll ask him what he thinks is going to happen with everything in the world of pro basketball. Coming up to bottom of the hour, though, we're going to have Kyle Hall on at 8:30. He writes for the New York Rangers for Belly Up Sports. He does his Broadway hit podcast, and we're going to talk New York Rangers hockey with him. And also, we're going to talk NHL. They started out last week. Our Red Wings won 0-1, losing a tough one to Tampa Bay on Thursday night last week by the score of 7-6 in overtime. Blew three goal leads. But, as I mentioned, man, you can't fall for those questionable hits. You can't retaliate. A team like Tampa Bay, when they get down, they'll do anything to get back in that lead. And Detroit, they retaliated. Dylan Larkin got a game for what he did. And, Michael Rasmussen took a cheap shot to the face into the boards. But, they got a power play out of it. Tampa Bay ended up scoring 3 goals in the third period and then getting that game winner in overtime. But Detroit bounced back. I know it's only Vancouver, but they won on Saturday. Greece had 40 saves for the Detroit Red Wings, so they're 1-0-1. But we're going to talk to Kyle about the New York Rangers. Lots going on with them. A team with a lot of potential, a lot of young stars. Alex Lafreniere, just to name one of them. And they got a new hot goaltender. We'll see if he can pick up for Lundqvist and Mike Richter be another one in the annals of New York hockey. But we'll also get his take on some of the teams that are picked to possibly win the Cup. Can Tampa three-peat? Can Colorado finally exercise some of their playoff demons? Is Edmonton ready to make the next step? Who knows? But we're going to talk about that with Kyle here coming up at the bottom of the first hour. Coming up in our last segment tonight, again, another edition of the Captain Lou Six-Pack Challenge. Rough one for me last week. I think I was 2-4, and I believe everybody that signed up for it beat me. So you're all in the running for that prize package. We're going to be giving away the Tuesday after the national championship game, $100 Visa gift card, and also $100 certificate to Fanatics. So that's going to be. We'll tell you all about how you can enter for your chance to win in the Captain Lou's Six-Pack Challenge. No purchase necessary. All you got to do is be better at picking football games than I am. And lately, that hasn't been too tall of a task. Although 2 weeks ago, I was 4-2. So that puts me at 23-19 after 7 weeks. So right hovering around the 500 mark. But like I tell everybody, I'm usually start out slow and I end hotter than a firecracker. So, you get your chances in now while you can, because the captain's going to get hot later on this year. Hey, baseball going on right now. They're in the bottom of the 6th inning or possibly the top of the 2nd. Let me see if I can get an update on the baseball game. Boy, the Dodgers started out 2-0 bottom of the 1st. They got a 2-run homer. They loaded the bases. Yeah, it's 5-2 in the top of the 7th. And boy, it looked like the Dodgers with Walker Buehler were going to get to Charlie Morton. Morton settled down. He got that pop-up with the bases loaded with 2 outs to keep it a 2-0 lead. And then Dave Roberts, boy, he kept Walker Buehler in there longer than I thought he was going to in the 4th inning. And he got a little wild, and what did he have? 80 pitches maybe, but he yanked him in the 4th inning. They got 4 runs, and now they're up 5-2 in the top of the 7th. Didn't see that coming. I'll tell you, if they hang on to win tonight, and they go 3-0, wow, that would be interesting to say the least. If they can somehow pull that off. So 5-2, top of the 7th for the Atlanta Braves over the New York Yankees, or the LA Dodgers rather. Game 4 tonight in the American League Championship Series. Boston with a 2-1 lead. Where has all this offense come from for the Boston Red Sox? Absolutely impressive, huh? Another grand slam last night. What did they win? 12-3 last night. They can really take a stranglehold on Houston tonight. And Houston's starting pitching starting to get a little suspect. They're showing just kind of the holes in them. Can McCullers do it? Can they come back? They've got the bats. They're going to score some runs. But do they have enough to outscore Boston? Got to give credit to the Boston Red Sox. It's funny because a lot of people had given them up for dead that last week of the regular season, myself included. They had, if you picked them to win the World Series, I think they had plus 1,400 or plus 1,600 before the wild card game started. It's not looking too bad right now. Everybody was hoping for an LA Dodger Houston Astros World Series. But I'll tell you what, now it's looking more like it could be Boston and Atlanta. Who would have thought that at the beginning of the playoff run? And again, we talked about this last week. I know the Dodgers played, the Giants in that best of 5, and they were the 2 best teams. The Dodgers were the wild card. They had 106 wins. We talked about it last week. I don't want to hear the complaining about, the 2 best teams having to play each other so early. Win your division. Everybody knows the rules right out of the chute. It's happened more than one time. My question again, if this was Detroit and St. Louis, or the Cubs in St. Louis, or Detroit and Cleveland with 105 and 104 wins, would people be complaining like this? I doubt it. Only because it's LA, or only it's because it's New York. That's the only time you get the uproar. Will they change it? Will they reseed it? I hope not. I really don't. I don't mind. The only thing I'd like maybe to see would be to go to a best 2 out of 3 for the wild card. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that would be the only tweak that I make as far as that goes with the wild card. So, I like how the games have been entertaining, and there's been some offensive firepower. There's been some good pitching, but I didn't see the Dodgers going down 3-0, and that's where they're headed tonight. Now they can come back. I mean, the game's not over yet. It's in the top of the 7th. I could have just gave them the captain Lou Maloik right now, and the Braves will give up 4 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning. But it's still anybody's ball game in that one. But if the Dodgers go down 3-0, they're done. Dave Roberts and that big payroll, Max Scherzer, they can't go to him tonight. More than likely, he'll get the call. He'll get the nod tomorrow, or possibly, he may get the nod tomorrow because there may not be a Game 5. And we all know that you can come back from a 3-0 deficit, but I don't see it happening with this Braves pitching staff. I just think they're too good. They've got some kinks in that armor, but I don't think they're going to give up a 3-0 lead to the Dodgers. And it's going to be awful interesting in La La Land. Where's Magic Johnson? I don't see him waving the dirty towel right now, the crazy towel for the Dodgers. Where's he at? Does he only show up for the World Series, part owner of the Dodgers? So it's going to be a fun series to watch. And again, Boston and Houston isn't over. Houston wins tonight. It's 2-2. It's 2-3-2 for these series. But it's going to be a fun watch. Hey, we got to mention, we got to give a congratulations here on the Captain Lou extravaganza for Dwayne Smoot, defensive end for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Why do you ask? Well, some of you may not know, but not only has he got good hands on the field, sacking quarterbacks, now he knows how to deliver a baby firsthand. Congratulations to him and his wife. They had their second child this morning, but it was a little more tricky than what he thought it would be. He was getting ready to take his wife to the emergency room or to the hospital to have their baby. Well, that old baby decided she wanted to come out a little bit sooner than what they had hoped. With the help of 911 and the paramedics on the phone, Dwayne Swoot delivered that baby himself. So congratulations to him. That's awesome. That's great news. And I just thought I'd want to share that. You get some good news in the world. And, of course, he wasn't at team meetings today, but he let everybody know via teleconference that he delivered that baby, and congratulations to him. Not only did they win their first game in London, he got home just in time to deliver a baby. So how about that? Well, hey, we're going to step aside. When we come back, we'll talk about an opening in the world of professional. Well, I guess some could call it professional football, in college football. And that, of course, is going to be LSU. We'll talk about who we think might have a shot at getting that job. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. You're watching the Captain Lou Extravaganza live. You're on 12 Ounce Sports and Zingo TV, channel 761.
Twelve Ounce Sports has a new home for betting. BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12 Ounce Sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 120ZE and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sports book. And remember, always gamble responsibly. Twelve Ounce Sports has a new home for betting. BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12 Ounce Sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 120ZE and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sports book. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Captain Lou Extravaganza Live here on the 12-ounce sports platform and networks and Zingo TV, channel 761. We welcome you back on this Tuesday, the 19th of October, as we roll on here. We're talking baseball at the beginning of the program, and in the bottom of the first, Houston has struck first in the top half of the first inning. They're up 1-0, and in the bottom of the seventh, with one out, the Braves are on top of the Dodgers, 5-2. Hey, coming up at the bottom of the hour, we're going to talk to Kyle Hall from Belly Up Sports. He's the New York Rangers beat writer. We're going to talk some NHL hockey with Kyle, and he also has his Broadway Hit podcast, and I'm pretty excited to talk to him, talk some pucks here as we get the NHL season underway. And then coming up at the top of the second hour, we're going to put the hockey sticks away, get the basketball out. Steve Finnemore, our basketball expert, guru, historian, call it whatever you want. He's going to stop by, and we're going to talk some NBA hoop because the NBA basketball season starts tonight as well, and really looking forward to that. With Steve, we'll get his picks on who he thinks might be some of the sleeper teams. I don't know if he thinks the Bucks can repeat. I got a couple of interesting teams that surprised me with their odds. We'll talk to him about that as well. Hey, coming up in college football, this is kind of a crazy weekend. You know, I was thinking about this before the show. I was talking to my dad about this too earlier. This is kind of a ho-hum kind of weekend for college football. It's almost like the calm before the storm. Really isn't a whole lot of big games going on this weekend in college football. And so, you know, a little bit, you know, just kind of, I don't know. It's, you know, like the following weekend, we got Michigan State. We got Penn State, Ohio State. The Big Ten's going to take center stage next weekend. So kind of an odd weekend. But things got started out Sunday night after the big win for LSU over Florida. It's been announced now that Eddie Orgeron is going to be out at LSU. And he's going to be they're probably already starting the search. They're going to let him coach through the end of the year. But there's some big names out there. You know, and you think about some of the big names. You know, is Lane Kiffin going to go? You know, Jimbo Fisher I don't see going because I really think that he's going to be – he just signed an extension with Texas A&M. I wouldn't think he'd leave, but would they be able to pry Urban Meyer out of Jacksonville? His name's going to be a hot rumor for that. There's no doubt about it. Lane Kiffin, it wouldn't surprise me if he's gone because I think, you know, he's a vagabond. He'll go anywhere. You know, there's no loyalty with him. And, you know, then I think of Franklin from Penn State, James Franklin. You've got USC and you've got LSU, the two hot openings right now in college football, marquee openings. If Franklin was ever to leave, I think this would be the time to do it. But is he going to go? That is the million-dollar question right now. Will he leave the confines of Penn State where he is the man there? He could coach there as long as he wants. I believe anyways. He's got a great thing going there. You know, they haven't gone to the playoff yet, but they've been close. They're knocking on the door. He did win a Big Ten championship game. But the name to keep in mind, I think, is being floated to is Mel Tucker at Michigan State. He's done what he's done this year with the Spartans has been incredible. Now, I'm not taking anything away. It's whenever you see a Michigan State team pick to do bad, they always seem to be able to get out of that, and they come out smelling like a rose. Michigan State, as I'm reminded constantly by a friend of mine, was picked last in the Big Ten East, behind Rutgers, behind Indiana, behind Maryland, behind Michigan, behind Penn State. Dead last. And they could very easily finish 11-1, 12-0. Who knows if they could beat Michigan next weekend. Mel Tucker, he's got the SEC mentality. And I think a couple of things to look at with him is would Michigan State pony up the money that he would get at LSU? I kind of think he wouldn't. And the other thing is, you know, God love Michigan State. It's a great university. I kid everybody. I'm a Michigan guy. I understand that. You know, there's no secret. You see the pictures on the wall that I've got. You know, I'm a Michigan guy. But Michigan State is not a bad place. It's a great university. But they're not solely focused on sports and football. It's not live or die like it is in LSU. Their facilities are much better. It's, I think that Mel Tucker could see that. If they make the offer to him, I think he's gone. So Spartan fans, enjoy it this year. They've got a good shot. Michigan State has a good shot at really doing well. Can they run the gauntlet of Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State? That's hard to say. If they do that, if they can do that, they deserve to be in the playoff. Then the Big Ten championship game, which who knows is going to be in that. Iowa kind of stubbed their toe. They came back to earth. Man, did they look bad against Purdue. Now, Purdue's ranked in the top 25 in a couple of polls, one of the polls. Didn't see that one coming. Wisconsin, they've got the inside track possibly getting into that Big Ten championship game again if they win the rest of their games. Isn't that something? After as bad a start as they had, as poor as they looked against Michigan, and quite frankly, to me, the way they looked against Notre Dame, now they got a chance of getting in the Big Ten championship game. They won't get in the playoff, but getting back to Michigan State and Penn State with James Franklin and and Mel Tucker, I could see those two doing it. I don't see Fickle going from Cincinnati unless they win it all, but I don't see it. He's building something there. He likes it there. You never say never with him. I think the only job he would take would maybe be Ohio State if Ryan Day ever leaves, which, that could happen. But I keep an eye on Mel Tucker and keep an eye on Franklin. Boston just went ahead 2-1 over Houston in the bottom of the first. There goes their offense already. The offensive coordinator, and the name escapes me for LSU, he's got to have a shot. The Baylor head coach, I don't know. Joe Brady from Carolina, he was the old offensive coordinator. He could go back. I don't, I could see Lane Kiffin doing it. Because like I said, he's got no loyalty to anybody. And what they did to him in Tennessee was not acceptable either, by the way. So, hey, we're having a little bit of a technical issue. I'm going to take one more break. We come back, we'll talk more, and we'll get ready to welcome in Kyle Hall from the Broadway Hit Pod here shortly. So we're going to take a quick break. You're watching the Captain Lou Extravaganza live here on the 12-Ounce Sports Platform and Networks and Zingo TV Channel 761.
12-Ounce Sports has a new home for betting. BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12-Ounce Sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 120OZE and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sports book. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
Welcome back, everybody. I think we've got our bugs worked out here. It's funny. Technology's great, isn't it? Yeah, I'm just getting our lines fixed here for our call-in guest here shortly. It seems like it's always an adventure with me. And one of the things that I got, if you haven't noticed already about me, I am not the most technically savvy person when it comes to computers and mixers and whatnot. I'm always a work in progress. So bear with me if I take one extra commercial too much or whatever. But, hey, we're glad you're back here with us tonight on the Captain Lou Extravaganza live here on the 12-Ounce Sports Network and Zingo TV, channel 761. Shortly, we'll be joined by Kyle Hall from the Broadway Hit Pod, and you can catch his work on Belly Up Sports with the New York Rangers. Love talking hockey, and it's one of those things that I learn more and more about it all the time. I've watched it forever, being a big Red Wings fan, but it's always cool to get to talk to people from different parts of the country with their team. So it's the Rangers. They're going to be our spotlight tonight, and we'll talk to Kyle about his thoughts on some of the other teams in the NHL. So really looking forward to that. It's going to be huge fun here tonight on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. And then we're going to talk basketball in the second hour at 9 o'clock Eastern time with Steve Finnemore, our NFL expert who joins us from time to time throughout the year talking hoops, NBA, and also college basketball. Their season is starting out here in a few weeks as well, and we're going to get knee-deep into that as well. Hey, I invite you to check out BetUS. Go to 12ouncesports.sportsradio.com/BetUS. If you're like me and you like to put a couple of shackles on the game, just to kind of keep your interest, especially this weekend when some of the games may not be the best, check out 12ouncesportsradio.com/BetUS. That's BetUS.com. Put the promo when you're going to make your first deposit, as you can see on the screen. Just use the promo code 120Z. That's simple. You get a 125% sign-on bonus. And if you do that, do a screenshot of me on there. No, I'm just kidding. It's that simple. Every $100 that you deposit, you get $125 matched back by BetUS. So that's $225 to play with. You can bet on football, basketball, whatever. This is the beauty time of year. You got all four major sports going on. You can bet on hockey. You can bet on pro or college football. You can bet on the NBA. Pretty soon college will be coming around. So you can bet on those. And it's a lot of fun. So I invite you to do that. Well, let's go to our Captain Lou Extravaganza guest line, and let's bring in Kyle Hall. He is going to be one of our NHL experts. He is part of the Broadway Hat podcast and also writes for Belly Up Sports for the New York Rangers. Kyle, thanks for joining us tonight. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh, hey, doing great. It's always fun to be able to talk pucks. It's a good time of year. The NHL season's underway, and it's kind of nice to be able to see it with fans back in the stands full time, eh?
Oh, man, it really is. You got a taste of last year in the playoffs, but seeing a packed Madison Square Garden is nothing like it.
Oh, for sure. So speaking of the Rangers, let's get right into it. Big win last night. I know it's early. It's only, the third game, but a fun overtime win. They're always fun when you win. And they got a nice goal from Panarin in overtime to beat Toronto 2-1.
Yeah, that overtime was probably one of the best overtimes I've ever seen. Back and forth. Both goalies making crazy saves. Shesterkin made 40 saves in the game, stood on his head. I think I saw today that they had a analytics of the game that Toronto should have had 6.25 goals against them. He only gives up one. So, back and forth. It was crazy. And there's a lot of people who don't want the shootout. They want this continuous 3-on-3 overtime. And last night was a good example why. Just so much exciting hockey.
As crazy as my Red Wings played Tampa last week, blew 2 3-goal leads and played that overtime, and they never touched the puck the whole 3 minutes of overtime. And in 3-on-3, that is absolutely amazing.
Tampa can do that to you, though.
Yeah, it's funny we got back and forth on our network with a couple of our other hosts of our morning show. The one guy's a big Tampa fan, and of course he's rubbing it in. But Tampa's a team that, boy, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. If they're down, they'll hit you a couple of questionable hits, but then they draw you into penalties, and then next thing you know, you're down 2 goals, man.
Yeah, between that, it's very similar to Washington too. You go on the power play against those two teams, and you're in trouble. Same way, Toronto last night. You get Matthews in his office, similar to Ovechkin. They just feed him, and it's only a matter of time before they score a goal.
Hey, you mentioned your goaltender, Igor Shesterkin, 40 saves. What's the early vibe on him, Kyle? Is it, I know he's gotten the thumbs up from guys like, Lundqvist and Mike Richter. What's the vibe with him in Broadway?
Yeah, I mean he's the guy. He got rewarded this offseason with a big 4-year extension. 5.6 million. He's the number one guy. They made it pretty clear. 25-year-old kid, had a great career in the KHL. Won some really big games over there. And this is the year where he takes his next step. I mean, he's been very good early in his career. We've seen flashes of a really good goaltender last year. He had 2.62 goals allowed average, which is pretty solid. In his rookie year, he was 10-2 in just 12 starts when he came in. So we've seen that the talent's there, and so far he's come out on fire this year. Last 2 games he's been brilliant, giving up just 2 goals last 2 games, 40 saves last game, 31 the game before. Both road games in Canada, which is just a tough spot to play in general. But he, as far as he can take them, is where the Rangers will go. I had my hot take earlier this year, and my podcast I've said a couple of times. I think Igor's going to be a top 5 Vezina Trophy finalist this year. I just have that much confidence in him, and yeah, like I said, if he's rolling, the kind of similar to how Lundqvist was in his prime, if he's rolling, the Rangers will just go as far as he can take them. Because we've seen kind of similar to Lundqvist, the Rangers defense isn't really shutting down a lot of shots. He's got to make 30 plus saves a night.
Yeah.
And he's on record of saying the more shots he faces, the more comfortable he actually gets into a game.
Wow.
And he's actually 7-0 in his career now after last night, when facing 40 plus shots in a game. So maybe it's a good recipe, or I don't know if he can keep that going, but it's good for the Rangers so far.
Well, also with the Rangers, they were my sleeper pick last year, and last year was just such a crazy year. You could, but it's kind of exciting if you're a Rangers fan with the youngsters you got coming up. Lafreniere obviously leading the pack. I love the pickup. You were able to sign Panarin last year. You guys have got a nucleus that it looks like could be there for years to come.
Yeah, I think last year was the year that the Rangers were a sleeper pick for a lot of people, and I think this year kind of continued over as well. With people saying that they can be there, and honestly, they were right in the playoff chase the entire year, and it was basically a soap opera around this team between Tony DeAngelo and then Panarin fighting with the Russian government and the injuries. It was like one after another. Where I think it was like March 1st. I'm writing an article. And I'm like looking back, I'm like, this is all one season. Like we're not even into March yet. The season started in January. So they had so much going against them. And I think bringing Gerard Gallant kind of solidifies that locker room. I think they needed that voice, a new voice, and a veteran voice like that in the locker room. And I think of this team, their goal scoring hasn't quite been there yet this year. Igor's kind of carried them to a couple wins here, but they're fighting some injuries right now. But I think if they start getting going, if Panarin and Zibanejad get it going here, they could definitely be a tough team to contend with come playoff time.
Now, Kyle, I've got a buddy of mine that knew you were going to be on the show tonight. Bob Farr is his name, and he wanted me to get your opinion on a couple of players that are kind of, I don't know what the status in your eyes might be. And the first one is going to be Vitaly Krastov. He refused his assignment, went back to Russia. Do you see him in a blue shirt uniform again, or do you possibly see him? I've heard that there's some suitors out for him, possibly. What's your feeling on him?
First off, just a botched deal there on both sides, I think. I don't know what's going on with this Ranger development. It seems like Chris Drury is the guy who kind of pushed him away, according to an Arthur Staple report today. That he kind of undressed them apparently in some more of a team meeting, and the Rangers apparently made it clear to him that he was being demoted not because of a cap space or a waiver. What we thought it was they were trying to keep some guys off waivers, but it turned out that he just got beat out for a spot, and they wanted to send him down there for more seasoning. And the kid played in the NHL last year. He thought he deserved a chance up here, whatever it is. But yeah, him just straight up, was he 21 years old? If you're a 30-year-old player and you've been in the NHL, you're established NHL veteran. Yeah, you can dig your feet in. You see guys like Keith Kincaid, Anthony Potato, these guys who have had NHL careers, they're down in Hartford just because Rangers have a lot of guys in this roster that is a ton of talent. and they're kind of just they're down there. Zach Jones is another perfect example, a young player who got a taste of the NHL last year, played extremely well for Team USA at the World Championships this summer, and he was kind of on the fringe for a 6th, 7th defenseman. The Rangers, instead of having him sit on the bench and sitting in the press box half the games, put him in Hartford for more seasoning. He took it in stride. He's playing great down there the first couple games. And this kid I just don't know if he doesn't get it or if he's being told from his management that he's better than he is. I'm not sure. I honestly don't see him in a Ranger jersey again, which is really unfortunate because we've seen the Elias Anderson incident. It's basically the same thing play out. He basically took his puck and went home, went back to Sweden, never came back. And this kid's already back in Russia. I saw he's posted on Instagram. He's at a nightclub with his brother last night, living it up, not a care in the world that, this whole incident's going on. But you look now and, the Rangers have Ryan Strome out with COVID and Capo Caco's out for at least a week or two. He's probably been called up this week. So just a really bad situation. But yeah, I saw there's 5 teams apparently that are very interested in him. It comes down to a return. The Rangers have the upper hand here. They can just let him go play in Russia for a year and really not care about him. Whatever his trade value can probably only get better. But I mean, you do this now as a 21-year-old. What does your next team expect out of you? You're going to pull this again?
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing. Is he now a character issue guy? So it's just really unfortunate, and it stinks because the kid's got a ton of talent. It's the reason why he was the number 9 pick overall.
Yeah.
And he's been fantastic in the KHL as a young player too. So it's just a shame on both ends that this happened.
Right. And then the other one that he's really high on, is excited for, is the defenseman Nils Lundqvist. He was defenseman of the year in the Swedish Elite League or Premier League. He's got the one that I like on your team is Fox, a defenseman. But this Lundqvist, I guess, he's got a lot of potential too. I did some reading up on him as well. Really excited to see what he can do for the Rangers.
Yeah, he came in. He was the prospect of the training camp. He was top prospect at training camp this last year. Again, kind of similar to Adam Fox's skill set. Smaller guy, really crafty offensive defenseman. But he can still play in the D end. Like a lot of people say, Adam Fox is all offensive. Adam Fox gets it done in the defensive end just as much as he gets in the offensive zone. He's a smaller guy, but he still can shut someone down. But, this kid, he's got a great shot in the power play. He's going to be running the second power play unit for the Rangers. And I brought up Zach Jones before, and he beat Zach Jones out for that, 6th, basically the last pairing. And I honestly think he came in possibly with an upper hand because, the Rangers were pulling him from Sweden, where he's had a ton of success. Like you said, he was defenseman of the year last year in the SHL. Yeah. He's had a great career playing for them on the national stage, and not only the World Juniors, but he's been playing the men the last couple of years, World Championships, and he's been great for them there. I'm super excited. I'm very excited that we're finally here seeing this kid in person. He's had a couple ups and downs, but I mean, he's 21 years old, making his NHL debut. Like, it's going to happen. They're protecting him late in games when they're not putting him out there in bad situations, which is fine. When you have a very solid top 4, the Rangers do, you can do that. It's easy for them to kind of hide him a little bit late in games. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a ton to be excited about around this kid. And especially when you have Adam Fox, who Norris Trophy winner, and he really, his rookie year, I think people expected him to be a good player, but I mean, I think killed expectations of where people thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
And then last year, obviously, one of the youngest players ever to win a Norris Trophy. And you've seen, it was the game actually they lost against Dallas, the home opener. The Rangers looked dead. I mean, the first game, they looked terrible too.
Wow. And
it kind of carried over into the second game. And he scored a goal halfway through the second period. And he basically took the entire team on his back that the rest of the game and got him into overtime. And you just saw just that period and a half play. Just see, like, he's the best player on the ice. It wasn't even like a close, like, you got Panarin and Zibanejad out there. Very good players, and he just was so noticeable. And Charlie McAvoy, his friend, another Long Island product, just signed his $9.25 million deal up in Boston.
Yes,
and I think that morning, Fox was probably just as happy for his friend as he was for his future bank account, because I think that kind of solidified Fox getting probably, high $9-10 million
Oh.
deal as well, which for Rangers front office probably isn't great. For the Fox family, it's a fantastic thing. But who knows? He might take a hometown discount. He grew up a Ranger fan. His parents have been season ticket holders for 30-something years, whatever it is. Who knows? Maybe he takes a hometown discount for, as a Ranger fan, you want to see these guys get paid, but you also want to see them, build a team around them. So when Jacob Trouba's making $8 million a year, as well on the defensive side, you kind of hope that you were hoping they maybe were re-signing Fox to a smaller deal, but it looks like the market is kind of pushing that deal higher and higher up
Mhm.
as guys like Cale McCarr and McAvoy sign these $9 million plus deals.
Man, I know it.
You get that Norris Trophy
Oh,
in your resume, and you can basically say open the checkbook up.
you can, and it's obviously it's going to be based too on the salary cap. What kind of
Yeah.
flexibility they can get. We're joined by Kyle Hall. You can watch his podcast, Broadway Hat Podcast, or listen to it, and see his writing on Belly Up Sports. He does a great job, by the way. Kyle, give me one person as someone who follows the Red Wings. I don't get to see the Rangers as often. Someone that I may not be looking for that might be a surprise or not really a sleeper, but someone that really could stand out that I may not quite know.
You may not know. I would say a guy to watch out for is Sammy Blais. I really liked how he played in the preseason. He was involved in the trade for Buchnevich this offseason with St. Louis. So you might remember him from St. Louis
Yes.
playing against Detroit. But big, strong guy, 6'2", 200-something pounds. He hits everything that moves. I think he hit a ref last game. He's been playing on the second power play unit. He parks his butt right in front of the net. And he's got some skill to his grit. And he's playing on the third line with Barclay Goodrow right now, who hasn't made that big of an impact quite yet. He's been throwing the body around, but I think that line has potential to be good. Philip Hedl, the young center, who's actually playing the second line right now because Ryan Strom's out. But that third line, they haven't got clicking yet, but I really like the way Blais been playing. I'm a big fan of his. And I'm a Kevin Rooney fan. He's the fourth line center for the Rangers. He kind of came to the forefront this last offseason because they decided to protect him over Colin Blackwell, who had a breakout year last year in the Seattle Kraken expansion draft. And there's a lot of heads that kind of got turned. And he's off to a really good start this season. He scored an empty net goal against Montreal. He's probably the top penalty killer. He's the top guy in faceoffs for them. Kind of like a Glenn Denning type player, if
Okay.
you want an example.
Sure.
Just a guy who's a solid face-off guy, will kill penalties. Kind of does like the dirty work, will drop the gloves for you. I love him. I love the way he plays. He was in the Devils a couple of years ago before he came to the Rangers, and I liked him then. I didn't like him. I actually did not like him, which is why I like him because of his play. So he's a guy who, if you're not a Ranger fan, you kind of like, oh, who's Kevin Rooney? And then he goes out there and he's, matched up with Ovechkin or someone, and you'll see him in very big, last minute game. But his line of him, Ryan Reeves, and Drayton Hunt, again, I think they hit everything that moves too. The Rangers lead the league in hits, and that line I think is leading the way in the entire NHL for that line's production of hitting. But they've been really good, and Ryan Reeves, a guy who I think a lot of people thought was just going to be a goon to come fight Tom Wilson. He ends up not dropping the gloves in game one, and he's actually been a productive player. And that line was graded out extremely well in every game so far this year. And he actually almost scored the game winner at the end of the third period. That line was out there with a minute left. So that just shows, against Toronto, a team that flies. Gallan's got that line out there with Reeves and Hunt and Rooney. Last minute of the game against Marner and Matthews, and that's just the confidence he has in that line. That's how well they're playing. And Reeves almost from his knees scored the game winner. I was jumping up and down. I thought it went in. I was gonna say, oh my God, all these stars in the ice, and Ryan Reeves is gonna bury the winner here. But those are two guys that I think, they're not the glamour players, not the big goal scorers, but they're gonna make a huge impact on this team.
So give me one reason why you think the Rangers can win the Metropolitan Division. I know it's stacked. You got the Islanders, you got the Hurricanes, Capitals, and the Penguins. But give me one reason why you think the Rangers could surprise everybody and win that division.
Igor Shesterkin.
All right.
If he keeps it up, I think he's the best goalie in the division.
That's hard to
Sorokin,
argue.
yeah, I know Sorokin is right there. Both these teams have these unbelievable young Russian players, Russian goaltenders. But if Igor, I'm telling you, if he gets hot and he can carry this team, I honestly think that this is the year that he puts it all together. He's got the contract extension. He's settled into the NHL. He got into a car accident his rookie year that I think really hurt him. He didn't play in the bubble. He finally played, I think, the last game of the bubble. He was out the entire time. Just a weird situation there, and he got to a slow start. I honestly think it was because of the injury he had from his car accident at the end of his rookie season. And now he's settled back in, had a full off season because of COVID, everything messing that up. I honestly think that he is the X factor for this team and possibly this division. Because you look at the division, like you said, there's so many good teams.
Oh, yeah.
It is stacked. The Islanders stacked. Carolina's stacked. And then you have this jumble of Washington, Pittsburgh, and Philly. You look at their rosters, and you're like, okay, well, Philly's roster on paper, it's unbelievable. But, can Carter Hart put it together? And then Washington's, you didn't improve, but you still got Ovechkin, who's still going to put up 40-plus goals, it looks like, again, because he's just a machine. And, the Pittsburgh, Crosby comes in and out of the lineup. They go on these runs. They win without him. It's just like, when is that team going to slow down? So, and the Devils look like a solid team, too. So
it's crazy in the
crazy.
Eastern Conference. I mean, Kyle, I could talk to you for an hour on this stuff. I mean, it's just on the Eastern Conference, but I wanted to ask you real quick. I see, where the prognosticators have it this year being Colorado's year. They got to prove it to me that they can get out of the second round of the playoffs. But, teams like them in Edmonton, it seems like they're crowned to really make a push, but yet they fade in the playoffs. I don't get it. Can you see where Colorado has a chance to win the Cup?
Yeah, like you said, every year them and Toronto are crowned the champs before the season starts.
Yes.
They both, somehow mess it up. I mean, Toronto,
wow,
they can't get out of the first round. They can't get out of their own way.
Oh my goodness.
But I mean, just watching the game last night against the Rangers, the talent is incredible.
Isn't it amazing?
And Jack Campbell's such a good goalie. He made some unbelievable saves last night. So that team has to get it going somehow. But you look at Colorado, and like McKinnon's back tonight. Finally, he had COVID. He's been out the entire season. He's back against Washington tonight. Should be a fun game. Their team again. The goaltending, they kind of shored that up a little bit. Grubauer left, but they shored up their goaltending. They've one of the better tandems in the league now. Cale Makar is, him and Fox are going to battle out for Norris trophies. Hopefully, the next 10 years.
Yeah.
They're battling for the Hobie Baker in college, and now they're battling for Norris trophies. So, their team is that first line is probably the best line in hockey, maybe behind the Boston first line of the perfection line there in Boston. But they have so much talent on that team. But you got to get past. This Vegas team has been there every year.
Isn't that something?
The Vegas team just doesn't die. They're such a good core group there. It's going to come down to, is Lerner the guy, or was Fleury, was that the mistake? St. Louis, they had an off year last year, but they still got a lot of guys from that core team from the Stanley Cup a couple years ago. Yeah. Binnington looks really good so far this year. So, Minnesota's a good team. So, Colorado's got some teams in that Central to deal with. And then when you get down the Central, you're going to have a Vegas to answer to, or an Edmonton. Edmonton, again, it's just that, is this finally the year that they play defense? Can they finally stop? Can they finally stop an opponent, and McDavid doesn't have to score 4 goals a game? And can they stay healthy?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've never seen. I was talking to my friend the other day. There's so much parity now in the league that you can honestly say each division has 6 teams that you can say, yeah, those are playoff teams.
Yeah.
And even the teams that you say aren't going to be playoff teams, like, Columbus, they've won their first 2 games of the year this year. So it's like, all right, well, I just, Buffalo's 2-0 as well this year. So these teams that you're saying, I came in like these teams are going to be garbage, they look great. Maybe Buffalo's problem was Jack Eichel. Who knows?
Oh my God! Yeah,
Eichel's gone. Buffalo's turning around. But
what an enigma that guy is. I got like 3 minutes left. Eichel to me has got to be one of the biggest enigmas I have ever seen in the NHL, or at least in the last 10 to 20 years. And
Yeah.
I just don't get it with that guy.
Yeah, you know what? Being hurt is what's holding this whole thing, obviously holding the whole thing up. But if they should have gotten rid of him last offseason,
Yeah.
he wanted out last year. They should have gotten rid of him then. They would have gotten an insane package back for him. And who knows what they get back now. They want, everything on the sun for him just because kind of like, if you're a football fan, Deshaun Watson,
Yeah.
He has his legal issues, but he's the top chip they have down there. So they want top billing for him to help that franchise. Same with Jack Eichel. They want as much as they can get from him, being a franchise player. And I don't know what they're going to get from him, honestly. And unless a team like Boston, obviously I think he wants to stay on the East Coast. He's a Boston kid. He's been seen at every Red Sox game so far this postseason. I can see him somehow, and he's been practicing at the Bruins facility. So I can see Boston as a team trying to swing something, but they don't have a lot of cap space. So it's going to be interesting. And not for anything, Boston just fleeced them for Taylor Hall. So Taylor Hall. So I don't know if they're going to do at Boston because they took a lot of heat for that deal already.
They sure did.
But an interesting team to watch is Kucherov going on IR now, possibly groin surgery.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to have some cap space open up down there. Can you imagine?
Oh, my Lord.
If they do one of those circumventing the cap space again this year, bring Eichel in, and all of a sudden Kucherov's back for the playoffs, and they got those two-headed monster going into the postseason. I can see it happening. I can honestly see it happening.
Well, Shesterkin, he better be standing on his head for sure then once the playoffs come around, man, if that happens.
You're going to need two of them in there for that.
Exactly.
Team if they come in. Yeah.
Kyle, I got to let you go. This has been a treat, man. Thanks a lot for coming on. I really enjoyed it. It's always fun talking hockey, and would love to have you on again sometime down the road in the middle of the season.
Yeah, definitely. We'll do it again soon. Thanks for having me on.
All right. That's Kyle Hall. You can catch him on the Broadway Hat podcast, and also check his work out on Belly Up Sports. He's really good with USA Hockey as well. In the IIHF, does work with them. And he's a fountain of knowledge when it comes to the New York Rangers, and some great insight on that. And it's going to be this New York Rangers team. They have got a lot of talent. They've got a lot of young talent, and they keep progressing and progressing. And with Shesterkin here, I think I really like their chances of at least getting to the playoffs. And as he said, if he can, his hot goaltending can carry him, which we know sometimes in the NHL, especially once you get to the playoffs. But you look at that division, and he's got a case to be made for him being the top goalie in that division. So you never know. Speaking of the Red Wings and the Columbus Blue Jackets, by the way, they're scoreless in the second period. Buffalo, Kyle mentioned them, undefeated. They just went ahead of Vancouver halfway through the third period, 3-2. Hey, we're going to step aside. When we come back, the top of the second hour, we're going to be joined by Steve Finnemore, our basketball insider. We can ask him a baseball question, but I know he knows a lot more about basketball. So we'll have Steve on after the break. You're watching the Captain Lou Extravaganza live here on the 12-Ounce Sports Platform and Networks and Zingo TV Channel 761.
Ounce Sports has a new home for betting. BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12-Ounce Sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 120ZE and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sports book. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Captain Lou Extravaganza live here on the 12-ounce sports platform and networks and Zingo TV channel 761. Again, thanks to Kyle Hall from the Broadway Hat podcast for joining us here tonight, talking a little NHL hockey with the New York Rangers and getting his thoughts on some of the other teams in the area, in the NHL, Colorado and Edmonton, and that crazy Jack Eichel situation in Buffalo, man. Like I said, what an enigma. The guy just, I don't know. And he's right. Wouldn't it be something with Kucherov not being able to make it if he ended up there with the Tampa Bay Lightning? Well, hey, let's go back to our Captain Lou Extravaganza guest line, and let's bring in our basketball expert. Let's put the hockey sticks away. Let's get the basketballs out. Let's welcome back Steve Finnemore to the show. Steve, how are you, my friend?
Captain Lou, I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to be on your show once again, talking NBA basketball. And tonight I'm in my glory watching the two best teams in the Eastern Conference go at it, the Bucks and the Nets.
The Bucks, obviously the defending champs. We've talked before how hard it is to repeat as an NBA champion. Steve, what is it going to take for Milwaukee to be able to do that?
I think the motivation every day in practice, I know it's a long season, and people will say, well, can they do it again? Like you said, it hasn't been done in a long time. I really think they have the ingredients. I see tonight they added Grayson Allen to their team, which I really like, the former Dookie. He's tough, man, and he brings a lot of, experience and toughness, and he can make threes. So I think the consistency, of course, and Giannis has to stay healthy. And Captain, I'm thinking right now, we talk about the big three all the time. Mm-hmm. I think the Bucks' big three of Middleton, Holiday, and Antetokounmpo are maybe the best big three in the league, because I really love their consistency and their camaraderie.
That's a great word right there.
Yeah.
Their camaraderie. You look at some of the other so-called big three. And we'll get to that in a moment, like with Brooklyn and with Philadelphia. But I like that. They're not out. They don't. It's just they mesh together, and it showed so much in that NBA Finals against Phoenix.
Lou, the biggest thing I take from the whole thing was right after they won the finals, they got on a plane and went to the Olympics in Tokyo, right? I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And they performed, and they gave USA a boost, because if you remember early on, USA was taking some heat and some criticism, but once Holiday and Middleton joined the team, they gave him an injection, and to do that really told me a lot.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why I'm excited to see what they can do. Obviously, the big thing is, can they stay healthy, throughout the year, and that's true with anybody. You could say that about a lot of teams, and another team that I want to talk to you in a little bit about. But let's address what I call the two elephants in the room. We might as well get it out of the way.
Yes.
The first one, obviously, is Ben Simmons. Steve, Doc Rivers finally had enough. The guy stuck by him. He stood up for him. This and that. Kicks him out of practice. It's wow. And when you got Joel Embiid saying he doesn't want to babysit him anymore, I don't get it with that guy. I just don't get it.
I'll tell you what it is. It's a few things. Number one, he's a cancer.
Yes.
Okay. Not wanting to work on his shooting, not wanting to be part of the team. Here's the biggest thing. I'm going to go international again. FIBA.
Yeah.
Not wanting to play for Australia, which Australia is a major player in the world. They've really gotten good over the last few years. and Ben Simmons would be so good with them. Instead of sucking it up after the poor playoff performance last year and going to play for Australia, work on your game, get your confidence back, be around your fellow countrymen, Patty Mills and those guys,
Hmm.
he declines. And to me, that was a selfish act. You know, you
Yeah.
play for your country, like the Gasol brothers, Ricky Rubio, they play for Spain. They're always talking about their country. Gosh, Lou, Kevin Durant went to Tokyo, and we talked
Yeah.
about the two Bucks who went right after they won the
Yeah.
finals. So you're just showing me that you're a selfish player and all you care about is you. You know, it's so funny, Lou, because before the playoffs started, I was having a conversation with a college basketball coach, and I said Simmons is better get a jump shot because he's going to be, I don't know, just a disadvantage for their team. He said, nah. He said Ben Simmons will be fine. He's a scorer. And then look what happened in the playoffs.
Yep.
He blew that playoffs for them.
He did. He sure did. And his inability to go, or I don't know if it's inability or lack of wanting to go inside, because, we all know his free throw shooting is so well documented how poorly it's been that, that's another, just misstep for him.
Here's the deal, Lou. I don't care what anyone says. And I just think it's the work that they are not putting in or they
Okay.
put in. And I really think Ben Simmons wasn't putting the work in.
Yeah.
You know, I blame his youth coaches. I blame his college coach, even though he's only at LSU for 1 year. I blame these guys or point the fingers at them for this guy's lack of progress. And maybe they tried to get him in the gym, and maybe he's like one of these, players who don't take coaching very well and they're not coachable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a big problem in today's game because that's what happens with a lot of these guys. They don't want to put the time in. I mean, Lou, you're making millions of dollars,
Oh.
right? Just think about this. You're making millions of dollars. You can't go to the gym in the off season every day to work out?
I don't get it. I mean, I look at, folks like you and me who go to work every day.
Oh,
And we get, time off obviously to recharge or whatever, but these guys, and I know they work hard and they put in the 99.9% of the guys, they put the time in, they put the work in. I'm not foolish to believe that they don't. But, a guy like this can't take 2 days a week to go into a gym and shoot 1,000 free throws or whatever it is. You're right, it's mind-boggling. I don't get it. I don't get it.
It really is. And I'm glad Doc Rivers stepped up because I thought they were going to, hold his hand all the way through this.
Yeah.
It's similar to the Brooklyn Nets, how they told Kyrie, you're either all in or all out. So I'm glad these teams, because I tell you what, Lou, I don't know if you notice, which I'm sure you do, these contracts with these NBA players are ridiculous.
Oh, my
Lord.
Lord.
I say to myself, is anyone really worth this money? Is anyone? I mean, I think about school teachers because I work in the Okemos School District at the high school, and I'm with these teachers every day, and I say to myself, now I know it's a different animal and stuff, but
Right.
here are people making an impact on children and working harder than NBA basketball players. I'm sorry, and they're getting paid peanuts, and these guys are getting paid millions of dollars.
Jalen Jackson getting $105 million the other day. God bless him for getting it. I don't begrudge any of them for getting it, but it's like you just said, the figures are astronomical.
Well, yeah, I don't blame anyone either. Look, if it was my son, I'd be like, get as much as you can. If it was my client, if I was the agent, because that's what the game's all about. I heard somebody talk about it the other night. I forget who I was watching an interview. I watch so many interviews and read so many stories, but somebody said it's all about making money now. And I don't think it was like that in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
No.
I mean, I remember Michael Jordan at one point in his career, he wasn't even the highest paid Chicago Bull. And he made more money off the court, with Nike and stuff like that and endorsements than he did on the court. So, and I know we're living in a different time now, but I'm telling you right now, Lou, the commissioner, the owners, and I'm not talking collusion here. I'm just talking someone's got to do something about this because little do the fans know, Lou, and I know you know this, but the ticket prices are going higher, the parking's higher, and the concessions is higher. So an average guy or gal they have a couple of basketball fans in their family. It's going to be really hard to take their kids to a game.
You know, it's funny is 3 years ago, is it 3 years ago? Maybe 4 years ago now. I took my son to his first NBA game,
Oh,
and we, he loves the NBA, and so do I. We went to a Pistons game against the Bulls, and we lucked out and got lower bowl seats, 4 rows underneath the basket. But Steve, it was a $300 bill that night for 2 tickets, parking, food, you name it. And it's just, you're right. For the average person, we could talk about this for an hour. It's crazy.
Lou,
Uh,
I took my daughter. I took my daughter to the Palace one night. We watched the Pistons and the Cavaliers.
mhm.
LeBron and all that. And you're right. Come to think of it now, you just jogged my memory. We left there, and I'm on the phone with my wife. My daughter's sitting, in the front seat. She's on
Yeah.
her phone. She's young.
Yeah.
I said, Mary, we just dropped $300 tonight. And I only got one kid. What if I had 2 or 3
Yeah.
kids? And you know, I don't know, Lou. I don't want to sound like the old man. Get
No.
off my lawn.
No.
But come on, man. Who's worth all? They say Kyrie Irving is going to get paid his $17 million contract this year, and he's not even going to play.
That's the NBA right now. The players have God bless their union and for being able to negotiate a
Right.
system where they can do that. But
Right.
in any other league, they don't. They get
No.
cut or they don't get paid if they don't show up. And that leads me to Kyrie. Now,
Oh,
I know
oh.
he's not playing, and I know that with the mandates, and I don't want to get into all that, mask or no mask, but I want to ask you, that Kevin Durant and Harden, they were talked to by management. You got to believe they had a say in them ultimately saying he's not playing. We're not going to make any special dispensation for him or whatnot. You got to believe that they had a hand in that decision, don't you?
You're absolutely correct, and I'll take it a step further. I think Harden and Durant, behind closed doors, are saying, you know what? If he doesn't want to play, screw him. We're
Yeah.
moving on. But they won't say that in public.
Well, no.
They actually support him in public, which I understand. But if that was Larry Bird, if that was Isaiah, if that was Jordan, Patrick Ewing, those guys would be calling those guys out and saying, you get like Kobe Bryant, you get your ass on the court. We're here to win a championship. Charles Barkley said something really smart tonight. And I really like Charles. I think
Yeah.
he's gotten better. He said, getting the vaccine, and we said we're not going to talk about it too much, but
No.
he said it's not about you. It's about the people around you, your family,
Yes.
your teammates, your friends. And right now, Kyrie's being selfish. And Shaq said the same thing. Shaq said, if you want to win a championship like Kyrie says he does, you have to sacrifice. And Kyrie's not sacrificing.
No.
Hey, look, I understand all the debate, the science, non-science, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Get the vaccination, get your ass on the court, and help your team win a championship.
Mhm. I agree 100%. I still think without him, they got a chance to win it all. With him, I think they would be a top 2 selection to win it. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens without him, how far they can go. Steve, there's 2 teams in the Eastern Conference I want to ask you about. One of them is your New York Knicks, and the other one are the Atlanta Hawks. They both tasted some success for the first time in a while. I kind of liken them to the Cleveland Browns and the Buffalo Bills only because how can they handle success now in year number? Because they both made leaps, in my opinion. How can they maintain that or possibly get better? First with your Knicks.
Well, I love their new backcourt, Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to push Derrick Rose, Emmanuel quickly, and they're going to be really strong in the backcourt. They missed that scoring last year. They're a great defensive team. Everybody knows that. Tom Thibodeau has done a great job.
Right.
Thibodeau he's actually changed his approach with players. He's less aggressive. He barks less, but he's still demanding great defense. Julius Randle, let's see if he can put together back-to-back seasons, like really good seasons like he had last year.
Mm-hmm.
So Randall's the key. I think they're going to challenge. I don't think they can win the East this year, but their backcourt, if Kemba Walker stays healthy, I'm really excited about them. They play the Celtics tomorrow night for their opening game. I think they're headed in the right direction finally because they have a coach who's holding them accountable. And you got to hold these guys accountable, and
Mm-hmm.
Thibodeau's not afraid to do that. As for the Atlanta Hawks, I really got to go back to the 80s, and I think they're in the same boat as they were in the 80s.
Yeah.
They're a good ball club. They got some talent, but there's just too many good teams ahead of them right now where I don't think they can make that next leap, that next step going forward. Because, like I said, it was just like the Hawks in the 80s with Dominique Wilkins and
Yeah.
Kevin Willis and Doc Rivers and those guys.
Oh, wow.
They could never get past the Celtics or the Sixers. They can never get past those teams in the Eastern Conference. And so I think it's going to be the same thing this time around. And who knows? Maybe they need one more, maybe two more players to help Trae Young out. I like them. They really surprised me. But I just hope the free agency stuff doesn't hurt
Yeah.
them where guys start leaving. Like I could see Trae Young getting frustrated in a year or two and winding up with the Clippers or something. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, yeah, exactly. But I look, getting back to the Knicks real quick, I look at that division, and
Yep.
it is absolutely loaded. You've got
Yep.
Toronto, you've got Philly, you've got Brooklyn. Boston is always going to be there. They've got a few, it's like any one of those 5 teams could, realistically have a shot. Now, maybe not this year, but, they could – New York could be the 4th best team in that division and still be a 6th seed or 7th
Right.
seed. Isn't that crazy?
Right. Oh, it is. And you mentioned the 76ers. And I like their team, but I'm so disappointed in Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he was such a baby, and I piled on him already, but I'll hit him again. He's hurting that team
Yes.
because hey, listen, I told a guy a little while ago, he's a heck of a player. And he just should have somehow his mental, mindset is not in the right place, hasn't been in the right place. And I've never seen a meltdown like that in my life. And you know what, though? It just goes back to his, pampered, silver spoonish type lifestyle. And he was dating one of the Kardashians, and he was such a prima donna. Like, get your ass in the gym and get better and help your team. Philadelphia fans, like, they deserve it. They're like one of the best fan bases in the country. And I'm just disappointed. And I don't think they can make that next step. I clearly think the Nets and the Bucks are head and shoulders above everyone else.
Yeah.
I mean, the Sixers could challenge. I tell you what, be careful. I like the Chicago Bulls, the changes they've made. They have some good. They added some good pieces, and I think the Miami Heat are
Yeah.
going to be there because they have Kyle Lowry now, and
right.
he's going to bring. He got a little older, but he's going to bring some championship pedigree, and he's going to bring some experience. So don't sleep on the Heat or the Bulls to knock somebody off in the playoffs.
I'm writing that down right now. I'm gonna
Yep,
keep
yep.
the Bulls definitely.
Oh yeah,
I want to go over to the Western Conference because I was reading the last couple days, getting ready for this, and I'm like, one that stood out for me that I honestly forgot about, and that's Golden State. They are right now. They're like the 4th best odds to win it. If you're and I was floored by that because I forgot about them. I know they had Steph Curry, but they've got Otto Porter Jr. there. I thought Andre Iguodala was 45 years old. He's still playing,
and he's 46. He's 46.
He probably is, and then you forget that Klay Thompson's coming back, and obviously, they've got Draymond, and if Wiseman can progress, wow, after I read it, I'm like, wow, maybe they can do it. Maybe they can challenge the Lakers. I was blown away by that, Steve, with Golden State. It made me think.
I am so looking forward to the game at 10:30 tonight between them and the Lakers. I circled this when the schedule came out. I said, I can't wait for this game. The other night, I don't know if you saw this, in an exhibition game, the Warriors beat the Lakers. And the Lakers had all their guys suited up, and the Warriors didn't have everyone. They were missing some guys. I just think with Curry, you're in any game. You can win any game. I love Draymond Green. I was talking to my players tonight about Draymond Green, about the things he does, and we need kids doing that. Screening, rebounding, passing, things like that, defensively. So when you have a Draymond and a Steph Curry, and like you mentioned, Wiseman, Iguodala, and boy, when Klay Thompson comes back, his shooting, the Warriors are definitely going to challenge for the Western Conference.
Obviously, and I want to ask you the obvious question: what how well do you think Russell Westbrook is going to mesh with AD and LeBron in LA?
Well, see, what a lot of people don't know is Russell Westbrook is my favorite player in the NBA.
Okay.
He's been my favorite player for quite a while now. I love his energy. I love his toughness, and I love how he holds players accountable. Now, if you remember, a few years ago, he helped Oklahoma City go to the NBA Finals,
Yes.
and he's won an MVP, and he's got the most triple doubles of all time. Now, Lou, I don't understand for the life of me why people don't give this guy more respect.
Ah.
Last year, Lou, he averaged 11 rebounds and 11 assists per game for a bad team.
Yes,
Now
he did.
I know he had Bradley Beal on his team, so he got his 11 assists. But Lou, do you realize in the top 10 leading rebounders last season in the NBA, do you realize Russell Westbrook was the only non-center in the top 10?
Wow.
I mean, if you get assists and you get rebounds in a game, that's telling me something. And I just don't get the negativity and the the criticism. I think I know. I think there are a lot of people who don't like how brash he is and how outspoken he is. But to me, Russell Westbrook is an incredible player. I actually have him in my top 10 this year. And I'll take him any day of the
Yeah.
week. I love him. I think he's going to get along with those guys because he's at a point in his career now. He wants to win a championship. And LeBron has a great ability to bring guys together, bring guys in who have never won before, and get them to buy in. LeBron is today's Michael Jordan in
Yeah.
terms of off the court, getting guys to play the right way, getting guys to play hard. LeBron, to me, 18 years now, I think it's coming up on second greatest player of
Amazing.
all time. Second greatest player of all time. I'll take that to the bank any day. He's
Yeah.
still behind Jordan.
Yep.
But what this guy has done, we forget about what this guy has done. People bash him. Skip Bayless and these morons.
Oh,
They criticize this guy. All he does is play the right way, make his teammates better, and he wins.
he's never in trouble.
No,
never.
he's married, and he's married to his high school sweetheart.
That's the one thing that people seem to forget too. He's the headlines. Sometimes he says a few things because he takes the initiative and takes the lead with stuff off the court. That Michael Jordan never did, and I think he gets bashed for that, and that's unfair, in my opinion.
But see, Michael Jordan, he was a chicken when it came to those kind
Right,
of things
right.
because when they asked him about his sneaker sales, he said Republicans buy sneakers too, and I got that message, But plus, social media today is
Yeah.
popular. Who knows what would happen with Jordan with the camera phones when he was on the, golf courses, when he was in the casinos. Like, LeBron's not out in the strip clubs. LeBron's not out, gambling and drinking and things like
Yeah.
that. Here's a guy who built a school in Akron. He puts 400 kids in college. They have the Akron Promise. And he does so much for the community. And I'll tell you what, Lou, he's my second favorite player in the NBA. I've loved him since he came out of high school. Do you remember being a Detroit Pistons fan? Do you remember that playoff game when he was on Cleveland
Oh,
and he scored 25 points in a row, and he scored 29 of 30, and he had that incredible
Wait,
block on Tayshaun Prince.
where I was is funny. You mentioned that game. I had my son for the weekend, and he was, I think, 8 years old at the time, maybe 9, just starting to like the NBA. And we went to Champs out in East Lansing, I think, or whatever it is out there in the Eastwood Town Center. I said, we're going to go to a big guy restaurant. We're going to watch the Pistons game. So we get there, and then LeBron just went nuts, man. I'll never forget that. Never forget it.
Lou, I got that sequence in the fourth quarter and overtime. I got that. I used to have it on video. I can't find it, but I documented every single play.
Oh,
And Lou, it was, and that's why I laugh at these people now. And a couple of years ago, when they say LeBron's playing his greatest ball, he's never been like this before. I said, you morons forget. You morons forget. That's why listen. I cut out sports talk radio. I cut out these ESPN shows. I don't listen to these people anymore. And actually, Lou, I don't know if you know this, but I deactivated my social media accounts.
Yeah, I saw that. Hey, I get it.
Lou, there were a few reasons,
You don't have
but
to
one
get
of them
into it.
was I was so frustrated with people, voicing their opinion and just sounding like an ignoramus. I'm like, wait a minute, do you guys realize how great this guy is? He's 6'8". He's playing point guard. He's a leader. He wants to win. Hey, look, I know he's got a say in these free agents coming to LA, but they also want to play with him too. You know what I mean? Like Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, Rondo's back with the Lakers. These guys know LeBron can win you a championship.
One thing that you got to remember too with him before we move on is he didn't win it last year. So that chip on his shoulder is going to be there. And if you don't think that's going to drive him even more, then you don't watch basketball and you don't watch a guy like LeBron or Tom Brady or anybody else. That's something that you're just born with, man. That's it. That's the it factor there.
Hey Lou, I'm not really big into rankings. I kind of shake my head at them sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
but I still have LeBron as the number one player in the NBA right now. It's close. Giannis is right behind him.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant's right behind him. But to me, if you and I are choosing up sides and we're outside in the park and I got LeBron to choose from, I'm taking LeBron James.
Yeah, and I would try to think of some kind of trade I could make with you to get him on my team.
You know what it is with Giannis and Kevin Durant, who I have coming in second and third this year. I just don't trust those guys all the time. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Sometimes they're bound to do something stupid. Durant will launch a long three. Giannis will come down, spin in the lane, and lose the ball. LeBron is so secure and so sure when he has the ball that you feel good as a coach and as a fan.
I want to switch gears real quick before I let you go.
Yep.
A few more minutes. We talked about you brought up Rondo, and
Yep.
it made me think about why he's back with the Lakers when he had that opportunity with the Clippers, but it just I just see a different mindset with those two teams, and maybe it's because of LeBron, but we've talked about the opportunities that the Clippers should have had. They should have been farther than they've done, and I don't know if what he said. It's just that he even said it. It's a different mindset going back to the Lakers.
Yeah, Lou, we talked about this earlier with the contracts and stuff, and these players, Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, doing these little things, and I can't figure people out anymore, and I actually stopped trying to figure them out, and I don't know the reasons why these people do these things, and I don't know, man. I have to look into it a lot closer with Rondo, and I want to see how things progress. I'm worried about their team because, I'm worried about Carmelo Anthony and Anthony Davis, and then maybe Russell Westbrook getting a little frustrated. I can see Westbrook getting frustrated with guys. I don't know. I don't know about LA right now. But they'll probably come out of the West. But watch out for Utah.
Yeah.
And Phoenix. And Phoenix is going to bounce back.
Sure.
So I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see, I guess. I'm looking forward to this game tonight, though, like I told you.
Well, last question. I'll let you go so you can get fired up for that. I was looking through the rankings, preseason rankings. I know you don't like to talk about them, but one stood out to me. I went from one all the way down to the bottom. And it's been a long time, Steve, that we've ever said this, and San Antonio is ranked like the 27th best team or 26th best team, and it's just what a run that they've been on, and I know it's kind of a new era for them coming up. Pop's done a heck of a job with that team, but it's unusual seeing them as thought of as one of the bottom 5 or 6 teams in the NBA.
Their streak got broken for consecutive seasons making the playoffs. I know they had 20 years, maybe 22 years. And they had their run, like you said, the golden years, and it ran out on them. The international scene kind of dried up on them. He went with a younger team. Obviously less skilled because they're struggling right now.
Mm-hmm.
What's pretty cool is Bryn Forbes is back with
Yeah,
them
yeah.
where he started. He spent 1 year in Milwaukee, won a championship, helped them win some games, and he's back in San Antonio. They're young. I don't know if Pop's message that he had in the 90s and the 2000s, I don't know if his philosophy and message is getting through. I don't know if people want to play for him anymore because I heard some criticism during the Olympics about Pop's coaching style. And you know, things change, Lou, especially in coaching player relationships. Players want to team up now and make super teams.
Yeah.
They want to be in a really cool city. Not to say San Antonio is not a cool city. It really is. And they just want freedom and they don't want to be pushed. Pop tends to push his players. So I think a few of those areas have a lot to do with it. Pop's had a great run. He's a Hall of Famer, obviously. And I don't know if we'll see him much longer after this year, to tell you the truth, because he stepped down from Team USA.
I wouldn't be surprised either. You know, it's he's had a hell of a run, that's for sure. Well, Steve, hey, as always, I really appreciate you coming on. I always enjoy our conversations, man. You got me fired up. You know, if I didn't have to get up at 3:30 tomorrow morning, I'd stay up and watch that game. I think I'll have to DVR it because I'm kind of interested to see. Now, you got me going on Golden State, so I'm going to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, hey, I'll tell you what, this Bucks-Nets game will be a good finish. And you know what? I get up at 5:30, but I'm going to sacrifice an hour and a half sleep tonight, so I'm going to watch the game.
All right.
If it's a blowout, you know, I could always record it, but I'm going to try to watch it because I like talking about it with the kids tomorrow when I see them.
All right. Well, Steve, thanks a lot again. We'll talk to you down the road when college starts up. I'll try to look you up. Maybe we can talk some college hoops maybe in a month or so.
Yeah, so long, Captain Lou. Thanks for having me, and have a great night.
All right, you too. Steve Finnemore, our college basketball guru, expert, our pro expert as well. Great insight on Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving. It's just amazing, like he said. And when have you ever heard of a guy with that much talent just not wanting to work on it? I mean, not wanting to get better. You would think these guys would want to drive themselves to make a little, especially now with the amount of money that is out there to be had. That mindset, that's what I don't understand with this guy. It's like we said, I would be in the gym shooting 500 free throws a day if it meant, from a selfish point of view, if it meant from, making another $500 million. I know that number sounds crazy, but it's not. These guys are going to be making that kind of loot. $50 million a year is not crazy. In 10 years from now, that NBA salary cap is probably going to be where they'll be making $80 to $100 million a year. But the only way you can do that is to get better. And a guy like this just doesn't get it. He's got rocks on his head, man. Ben Simmons. I don't get it. Great conversation with Steve Finnemore, our NBA guru, basketball guru. Call him whatever you want. Always great insight. He's got the connections. He's lived and breathed the game forever. And it's always fun when we get a chance to have him on the show. Well, I did put the Maloik on the Atlanta Braves. They lost tonight to the Dodgers. Cody Bellinger, a 3-run dinger in the bottom of the 8th, tied it up. And then they got their 4th run in the 8th inning. Mookie Betts doubled to right center. Taylor scored. Final score, Dodgers 6, Braves 5. I told my dad in the first inning tonight that this series was going to go 7 games. And then when it was 5-2, I said, they lose tonight, they're done. That's the magic of playoff baseball, baby. You just never know. Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the other series right now. Houston and Boston. Last I checked, Boston was up 2-1. We'll look into that. And we still have our Captain Lou 6-pack challenge picks coming up. And we'll talk a little more NFL football as we conclude our last half hour of the show. You're watching the Captain Lou Extravaganza live. You're on the 12-ounce sports platform and networks and the Zingo TV channel 761.
12 Ounce Sports has a new home for betting. BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12 Ounce Sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 120OZE and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sports book. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Captain Lou Extravaganza Live here on the 12 Ounce Sports platform and networks. Zingo TV, channel 761. You can catch us on our website. That's the 12ouncesportsradio.com or 12ouncesportsnetwork.com. You can watch us live there or on our Twitter live page, Facebook live, Twitch, our YouTube channel. Check us out there. And, of course, as I mentioned, Zingo TV, channel 761. Want to thank Steve Finnemore again for coming on. Always great catching up with Steve. Again, the guy has a wealth of knowledge of basketball, pro and college. He's coached at the collegiate level, the high school level. If you want to know anything about the history of basketball, Steve Finnemore is your guy. Last year we were talking about, a lot of times during the pandemic he was on, we were talking about the 70s and 80s of basketball. The NBA, we're both about the same age. And, it's just fun looking back at basketball back then. And, of course, now with some of the teams and some of the athletes, and great perspective on LeBron. He's opened my eyes to a couple of things that he's done. And, it's like we said, watch out for the Lakers with LeBron, obviously. Golden State, a team to look out for. Again, I was floored by that. I was reading it again today. Golden State with they got like the fourth or fifth best odds to win the NBA title. And, I forgot about, you still got Seth Curry, you got Wiseman, you've got Andre Iguodala. It's, of course, Klay Thompson back after Christmas. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with. But it's going to be the Lakers show, I think. Phoenix possibly. But like I mentioned to him, when you've got a guy like LeBron who didn't win last year, as driven as he is, in his 18th year, as Steve mentioned, that's incredible. So we want to thank Steve Finnemore for joining us, and also Kyle Hall in the first hour talking Blue Shirts hockey, the Rangers in the NHL. NHL's back, baby. We're going to be talking hockey every week now on the show, along with basketball, sprinkle in basketball, football, and baseball until the baseball season's over as well. But, hockey's back, and we couldn't be more excited. Hey, we want to invite you again to check out some of our other shows on the network. We've got the AM Drive, which is on 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 o'clock Pacific, all points in between, 5 days a week with Mike Carvelis and Aaron Crouch. And also you can join the three of us on Saturday mornings at 10 for our NFL preview show, where we go through all the games, make our picks, throw darts at each other, whatever. But join us there from 10 to 11 on Saturday mornings as we get you ready for the upcoming week's games in the NFL. And that show is rebroadcast as well at 11 a.m. on Sunday. And we've got Philly Pete, our hockey extraordinaire, our expert, our gambling expert on hockey, gives you all the lines and whatnot. Join him Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 12 to 12:30 with Philly Pete and Pete's Power Plays. And, of course, Cody Janner on the World Hockey Report, everything. We've got it covered here. We've got Glenn's fabulous sports takes. Right before me on Tuesday nights, the dynamic duo of Tuesday Night Sports Radio on 12 Ounce Sports and everywhere else. Mitch Bernstein, he goes from 6:30 to 8, and then yours truly from 8 until 10 every Tuesday night. So we want to just kind of let you know what we've got going on now plus our podcast, the Sports Stance. We've got We Do Sports Good, Rando's Minor League Report on Mondays, the Rome Show Monday mornings and then Thursday nights. Just a wonderful array of programming to get you ready for your sports world, to quench your sports thirst. That's us here at 12 Ounce. Speaking of that, we want to invite you to check out BetUS.com again. Go to 12OunceSportsRadio.com/BetUS. It'll take you right to their website. When you do that, they're going to ask you to make your first deposit. And when you do, use the promo code 12Ounce, 120Z. That's it. And with that, you will get a deposit match bonus of 125%. So what that means is if you deposit $100, they'll give you another $125 to make it $225 for you to bet with. That's a no-brainer. That's the lock of the decade, lock of the century right there. Free money. Who wouldn't want free money? If you don't want it, send it my way. I'll take it. So there you go. So go to BetUS. The easiest way to do it, go to 12OunceSportsRadio.com/BetUS. Check out their website. You can bet on games. You can go into their casino, play a little Pai Gow, whatever, 3-card. A lot of fun. Their electronic slots, whatever you want to do. But make sure you for your first deposit, use the promo code 12Ounce, 120Z. It's that simple, and you will get a 125% bonus match up to $1,000 on your first deposit. It's that simple. I'm telling you. You put $50 in, you'll get another $62.50. You put $200 in, you'll get another $250. It's a no-brainer. It's easy money. Make sure you check it out. Well, we again, the Atlanta Braves, they got us. Again, they put the Maloik to me. I told you the Braves were up 5-2, bottom of the seventh. It looked like they were going to be going on to go up 3-0, and Cody Bellinger stepped up, tied the game with a 3-run blast, and then Mookie Betts earned his keep, and he got the go-ahead RBI. And the Braves lose to the Dodgers 6-5. Game 4 is tomorrow. Game 5 is on Thursday. It's 2-3-2 format, so it's going to be. I'm not sure if Max Scherzer is going tomorrow. I'll have to double check on that. But the Dodgers now, they can breathe a sigh of relief, them and their fans, as now it's 2-1 in favor of Atlanta. Last score I got, top of the fourth inning, Boston on top of Houston, 2-1. Boston wins this one. It's going to be tough for Houston to come back. They'll be up 3-1. Now they're getting some timely pitching. But, hey, like I said, it's not over yet. Whenever something happens, I put the Maloik on them when it comes to baseball, so who knows. But, anyways, we want to kind of turn our attention now. Let's take a look at the rankings right now in the in college football. And Iowa got thumped by Purdue this past weekend. We talked about it a little bit at the top of the show. Purdue now in the Sports Writers poll is ranked 25th. And in the coaches poll, I'm trying to look for them. Are they even receiving votes? 16 votes. They're ranked like 35th or 36th or something like that. Purdue with that win over Iowa, they're in the top 25 in the coaches poll. So Georgia's number 1, Cincinnati's number 2 in the writers, 3 in the coaches. I believe the first college football playoff poll comes out the end of October, so a couple more weeks. So I'm going to go by the coaches poll. They've got Georgia number 1, no shocker there. They got all first place votes. They got Oklahoma 2, Cincinnati 3, Alabama 4, Ohio State 5, Michigan 6, Michigan State 7th, Penn State 8th, Oklahoma State 9th, and Oregon 10th. Interestingly enough, if Michigan can hold serve, if Ohio State can hold serve, we're looking at 5 versus 8, 6 versus 7 next weekend. The Big Ten gets the spotlight. Michigan State's a noon kick on the 30th. We call it Maylocks week up here. And it's just the excitement is just, it's building. It's been a long time since two Michigan teams undefeated, but Michigan's got a hold serve against Northwestern. They're a 23.5-point favorite. But I look at this weekend for the NCAA, for the football schedule, it's kind of blah. You got a 3-3 USC team going to Notre Dame, who's 13th ranked. That's a 7:30 kick on Saturday night. You've got Wisconsin at Purdue. Oklahoma State and Iowa State. This is a tricky one. We'll talk more about this in a little while. Oregon at UCLA. This could probably be one of the better games of the night or of the day. It's a 3:30 kick Eastern time. Oregon ranked 10th, 5-1. UCLA, this would go a long way for them to, maybe get back into the top 25, obviously, if they beat Oregon. The other tricky game, I'm looking through these games with top 25 teams. Pittsburgh is a 3-point favorite against Clemson. How the mighty and Clemson's only 4-2. Pittsburgh's ranked 23 at 5-1. Another team that we haven't seen in the top 25, I don't know if we ever have, the best team in Conference USA, UT San Antonio. They're ranked 24th. So you look at some of these games. Earlier in the year, at the beginning of the year, this Ohio State-Indiana matchup had a little bit of juice to it, but Indiana's fallen off, obviously. I don't know. I think the biggest games are going to be Oklahoma State and Iowa State. Iowa State is a 7-point favorite at home against the 8th-ranked team in the country. That's crazy. Brock Purdy's got 9 touchdowns, about 1,350 yards. I'm just blown away by that spread. It really is crazy. So that's probably the game. Those are the two best games, in my opinion. Oklahoma's got Kansas. They're a 38.5-point favorite on the road. Tells you how crazy that is. Cincinnati is at Navy. Michigan's hosting Northwestern. Michigan's a 23.5-point favorite in that one. That might be a little strong, but they should be able to handle business there. So really not many, hardly any, and it's just like the pros too. Not a lot of big games in the pros right now, or this weekend. I look at it and I see, okay, the Bengals and the Ravens, that's a 1 o'clock kick. You've got rivalry games, Jets and Patriots, who cares? Neither team could barely get out of their own way. Falcons and Dolphins, who cares? Panthers and Giants. Panthers have stumbled since starting out 3-0. The Giants are the Giants. They smell. The Eagles and Raiders. No. Buccaneers and Bears. The Bears have won a couple in a row. Buccaneers, obviously, they're rolling. Colts and 49ers. 2-4 against 2-3 Saturday or Sunday night game. Saints and Seahawks. What are you going to do? Not a whole lot of. This is not a big weekend for football that's going to just reach out and grab you. So maybe that's what baseball's hoping for. Take a little bit of luster away this week. Take a little bit of the viewing public away from that. But speaking of football, it is that time. We've yet to do this. We better get rolling. It is time now for the Captain Lou 6-Pack Challenge. We're going to put the picks right up on the board right now. Let's get going with it. We're going to do the college first. And the game that just sticks out to me right away is Oklahoma State at Iowa State. Here's a team that I know they're going to run headstrong into Oklahoma here at the end of the year. They're 8th ranked in the country. And they're a 7-point dog to Iowa State. Need I say more? Give me Oklahoma State +7. I think even if I don't see Iowa State beating them. I really don't. So I'm going to go with the Cyclones. Just give me Iowa State. Leave it at that. USC at Notre Dame. USC is a 6.5-point underdog going to Notre Dame. USC's a mess. Notre Dame, they've got the home field advantage. Saturday night game. Give me the Irish. I think they're going to win by double digits in this one. USC, no. Just no. They're just waiting for the season to be over now. Give me Notre Dame. I think that's going to be 27-10, maybe 31-17. Notre Dame by double digits in this one, easy. This one I kind of flipped back and forth on. Wisconsin has got Purdue, or they're at Purdue. Purdue, I was a little worried about this. Are they going to be emotionally flat after winning that game last week against Iowa? Wisconsin comes in, and I almost took Wisconsin -3 in this. This is pretty much a coin flip because with the 3-point spread. So I'm going to roll with Purdue in this one. Yes, Jeff Beck, I'm going to go with your Boilermakers. I'm going to take the 3 points. I think it could come down to the wire, last second, extra point, whatever. But I think Purdue wins by a field goal or 4 points, so that could be a push. I'm taking Purdue +3. Before we go into the pro games, I want to remind you how this works with the Captain Lou 6-Pack Challenge. I pick these games against the spread. You think you can beat me at these, college and pro? I'm going to post these on my Facebook page and my Twitter page. All you got to do is beat me at these games against this spread. No purchase necessary. If you beat me at these games, you're in the drawing at the end of the year for a $100 Visa gift card and a $100 certificate to Fanatics. So the ante's been upped, if you will. So what you need to do, follow me on Facebook, Lewis Gamlin. I'll have this on my Twitter page. You can leave me your answers there, or like it seems like 95% of you are doing, drop me an email, captainlousports@gmail.com with your picks. And again, these are the lines that you have to use, and these are the games you have to bet. You got to beat me at these games that I pick. Now, again, this week, kind of a lackluster week for games on both the college and the pro scene. So we have no games between top 25 ranked teams against each other this week. So, well, let's get back to the picks. Let's go to the pro scene. Kansas City at Tennessee. Tennessee, a big win at home against the Buffalo Bills. And I see I screwed up on this one, so I got to make a change on this. Hold on. Let me... I'm going to make a change right now because I made a faux pas. I'm glad I saw this. Tennessee with a big win over Buffalo this past Monday night. They're on a short week. Kansas City played pretty good in that second half against Washington. Something clicked. Just something about that. Tennessee, I think, 2 tough games back to back. I know they got Henry. Kansas City's defense isn't all that. But Kansas City's been knocked around a little bit. I think they got that little bit of a chip on their shoulder back. I'm taking Kansas City -5.5. I'm going to lay the points. Next up, Baltimore hosting Cincinnati. Baltimore's getting better every week. Big win for them. You know, they had some last-second luck against Detroit, obviously. What can you say about Lamar Jackson? You know, all he does is he just wills his team to win. No running game. He's the running game. But I'm going to go with Baltimore on this one, -6. Cincinnati coming off a win over Detroit. They pummeled the Lions. Big deal. Obviously, they're looking good. Burrows and Jamar Chase are looking like one of the best tandems right now in the NFL. But I still like Baltimore at home in this one. 6 is a lot. I almost took Cincinnati +6. Baltimore's going to win this one by a touchdown late. Finally, the Saints at Seattle. Now, I know Seattle's defense is putrid. It's not great. I don't trust New Orleans, though. I really don't. I don't trust them. What Jameis Winston are we going to get? The good one or the bad one? Or the one? Geno Smith did not play that bad against Pittsburgh. Now, I know he's no Russell Wilson. I'm not even going to say that he is, or he's close. But New Orleans has got to go up to Seattle. It's Monday night. Seattle is a desperate, desperate team right now. very desperate because they are on the verge of potentially falling out of the playoff race. If you look at the standings right now, they're at 2-4. They lose, they're 2-5. And you might as well say forget about it. Because the Rams aren't going to lose Sunday to Detroit. Arizona's not going to lose to Houston. So you're going to have a 7-0 Arizona team, a 6-1 LA team. Seattle loses, they're 2-5. They'll be 5 games behind Arizona if they lose. I don't think they're going to lose. Give me Seattle. I'm taking the 5 points. If they lose, it's going to be on a last-second field goal. So there you go. Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen, my Captain Lou six-pack challenge. USC at Notre Dame. I'm taking Notre Dame minus 6.5. Wisconsin at Purdue. I'm taking Purdue plus the 3. Oklahoma State at Iowa State. Oklahoma State's getting 7. I'm taking the Cowboys on this one. On the pro side, Kansas City laying 5.5 at Tennessee. Give me the Chiefs. I'll lay the points. Baltimore laying 6 against Cincinnati at home. This was a top one, but I'm going to go with Baltimore laying the 6. And finally, Seattle plus 5 at home against New Orleans. Give me a home dog of 5 points any day of the week. I'll take Seattle. So again, how it works, you pick these 6 games along with just like I did, against the spread. You pick them different. If you beat me at these games, you're in the drawing for the $100 Visa gift card and the certificate from Fanatics that we will give away the Tuesday after the college football championship game in January. So you got time to get in. You can get in multiple times, and we've had guys who have been in a half a dozen times every year. So there you go. That's kind of what we're looking at right now. So again, leave me your picks. Follow me on Facebook, Lewis Gamlin. Follow me on Twitter, @TheRealCaptainLou. You can DM me your picks or leave them there. Or drop me an email, CaptainLouSports@gmail.com with your picks. These will be posted on my Facebook and Twitter pages tomorrow. So check them out there as well. Well, hey, that's going to do it tonight. We're going to wrap things up right now. I want to thank Kyle Hall from Broadway Hit Podcast for joining us, talking Blue Shirts hockey, the NHL. And also want to thank Steve Finnemore for coming on the show and talking pro basketball, previewing the NBA as he always does so well. Loved the insight of both those guys. Learned a lot tonight, as always. And, of course, I want to thank you, the viewer, for taking time out of your busy schedule to watch us here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. Well, again, that's going to do it tonight. This reminder, join us next week for another edition of the Captain Lou Extravaganza. Join me as well Saturday with Mike Carvallis and Aaron Crouch from the AM Drive as we give you our NFL preview show, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. This coming Saturday morning. And, it's funny, as I posted a picture on Facebook, on Twitter, you wonder why I always say when I leave, my little saying, well, I do play-by-play for Aquinas College, for ACHA Men's D1. I had a hockey puck go whizzing by the right side of my head. There you go. Saturday. It wasn't super close, but it was, close enough. That's why I always tell you, keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving, and as always, keep your minds open. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. We'll have a lot more guests. We'll have a lot more fun, as always, and we invite you to join us then. Again, good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza.